Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast with myself, Nick from NPG Creations, Josh from North Country Woodworking, and today we have Mike Knapp from Naps Knotty Works down here in San Antone. How you doing today there, Knapp?
I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate y'all for having me on.
Before we get into today's episode, let's go ahead and thank our sponsor. This episode today has been brought to you by Mirka. And National Abrasives. National Abrasives, if you check them out online, capital M, capital S, capital D, capital N, for 10% off your order. I'll tell you what, that is a hefty sum off of a Mirka sander, and it's totally worth it. Also, we have Totalboat supporting us. We appreciate everything they've done for us. Use promo code Sawdust Nation Pod for 15% off your order of any Totalboat products. And last but not least, we want to thank Jtechphotonics for their continued support. But we got to know, Nap, what's going on in your shop, man?
What isn't going on in the shop? I'll tell you what, started this venture off in about a year and a half ago. I started with flags, and then it just kind of exploded into a mass amount of everything. Right now, last episode, you talked about me helping you out with a rotary, getting it set up with this big laser I have in there. Well, I've also got mine dialed in, and I'm turning out tumblers like it's candy. I've also ended up getting my little logo thing going on, Naps Knotty Works. My slogan, Let's Get Knotty.
Nice.
That's how it goes in the shop. We got a few going away things for the BMT squadrons down here in Lackland. That's my market, if you will. I do a lot of going aways for the squadrons out there. I have 2 sitting on the desk, 5 out on the bench. We got some hat shadow boards because the NTIs that wear these campaign hats. And they pretty much go in a closet afterwards, so we found a way to make those look nice on a presentable piece of red oak with a bunch of different decals, paint, stains, and all those things. My Instagram isn't really updated, so I probably should do that so you all can take a look at those eventually. And then here coming up, I'm turning all these jobs out as quick as possible with quality in mind. But here in July, me and Nick here, we're going to be getting together on this big collab project that he talked about last time.
That's right.
In the final approval phases, and we're going to be full steam ahead with 99 12 by 12 Texas-shaped plaques with coin inlays and some laser etchings and stuff. So it's going to be pretty intense, but we're going to be doing it.
So it sounds like you got a lot going on, and it sounds like you continue to have a lot going on, even in your past. How did you get your start? What drove you to go ahead and start doing this stuff?
So I'll tell you what, I say back when I was a kid, my dad taught me to use a bunch of tools, and that was about the extent of it. I eventually one day, found I was going to have a kid, and I was like, hey, I'm going to build this crib. Well, that's right there and then and when my love for woodworking started, because, they say you can throw things together from IKEA, but I was like, that's cheap. I want to make something that's going to last. So I went ahead and I went on to Pinterest out of all places with the wife, and she said, hey, can you make this? I was like, sure, we'll try. We'll see what happens. So just like some previous episodes I was listening to, talking about pocket holes. This is before I knew what joinery was. Me and pocket holes became well acquainted, and I used the Craig jig, and I sat there for hours and hours putting these big 2x6s together. Long story short, went through this whole process, made a crib, restored a rocking chair, and did some other things for the wife's shop, or for the kids' room, and for the wife's nursery area. And then I got here to Texas, and I started making flags. I started off with DeWalt job site saw, which I still have. It's still up and running. And then I had a miter box saw and a joiner, and that was about all I started with. And I made flags. And after I started making flags, I started getting bigger and better things. A guy named Ron, we went to school together online, out of all places, and he got me into CNC work. And then CNC just kind of exploded. Started off from its base model, a Shapeoko XXL, to the monstrosity or the Franken CNC I've got going on in there now, between a spindle and all sorts of this.
You got a lot of stuff going on that machine, man. I seen it.
It is a monster. And now, between all of the different organizations and the flow of the shop, which was a common theme for the past few months here, from adding a 100-watt laser to, adding a actual storage area for my stains and stuff. It's just been kind of crazy. And then the BMT gave me a chance, and that's when I really blew up. They gave me my first big job. I made like 36 signs all by my lonesome. And then, yeah, they've been coming back to me ever since. And then they just kind of kept going and going and going. And here I am, established. Naps Knotty Works 2020.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I noticed the same thing. Once someone at base gets a hold of you, and if their leadership likes your work, they'll come back to you for everything, which makes it nice for you in the shop.
Yeah, except for they're like, oh, we need this by Monday.
I can't even tell you how many times that's happened. And I've come close to saying, you know what? No. But again, money talks. And when they pay that rush fee, they're like, I guess I can go ahead and squeeze that in.
That rush fee makes a total difference.
It makes the attitude go away. I'll tell you that.
Oh, no. I do some swearing sometimes when I'm doing it, like, because you know how it is. You have 50 other projects. Like you said, they'll call you up and be like, hey, in 2 days, we need that plaque. And you're like, well, I don't have the time. So now you're spending, extra late nights and early mornings to try to knock that out. How much is your late fee, if you don't mind me asking? Is there a percentage or a set fee?
So it depends. So if it's like a 3-day thing, I'm charging like 50, 75, depending on how large the project. Now, if it's just something small, especially like, so believe it or not, epoxy is only a $25 rush fee. And the reason why is because Totalboat epoxy, and I'm not trying to do a plug here, but I've tried a lot of epoxy, believe me, I have. And this stuff dries in like, it's almost cured in a couple hours for the stuff.
What are you using?
What is this?
High performance, fast drying?
That stuff. And it sits right here, because this is the epoxy station right here. I literally do the 1 pump or 2 pumps, however many I need to, get the job done.
You're a 2-pump chump.
Yeah, Wife doesn't complain though. Anyways, but yeah, so I use this stuff, and honestly, it's the best stuff I've used. I haven't gone back since. I mean, not obviously, because I still have a whole gallon of it back here.
That stuff is so worth having on hand. It saved me on a project where something similar. They're like, hey, we need 9 hammers, and we need, done by 2 days later. And I was able to inlay coins in every single one of them, finish them all, and it was all because of Totalboat epoxy. So I hear you.
What about you guys? What do you guys charge? Am I charging too much?
No, man.
It depends on where you're located, man. For me, some of the stuff that I've done, it's been no more than $30, and it's been like mostly plaques or there was a coin holder, but all stuff I know I could fit in well enough, so I didn't have to charge an outrageous price. But I mean, and plus, I'm still trying to get established with other squadrons on base. I have quite a few, but give them a little bit of a relief on the cost, so next time they come to me instead of someone else.
Yeah.
So that's where. Go ahead, John. Go ahead there, Nick. What would you say?
So you kind of got to weigh out whether you're going to skin the cat or you're going to just shear it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually you want them to come back to you, and that's a huge deal, especially for the first time customers. Now, if you have an established customer and they know you're expensive and they keep returning to you, you're good to go. But the problem is, I think a lot of people have the funds that they get for these going away gifts are not funds from the actual organization. It's like people pitching funds into a hat. So
yeah,
now,
booster club funds and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's I think the booster club is only allowed to donate so much to a specific going away present for a member. I don't know what the regulations state, but the rest has to be picked up by donations from members of the squadron or whatnot. If you have someone who's placing an order for something 3 days from now, as opposed to like a week or 2 from now, as far as my late fee goes, I usually hit them pretty hard for that, just because it's like, look, I have to stop what I'm doing because I already have orders. And I have to explain this to everybody because it's like, look, man, I have a sequence where if you're in the queue, you have a guaranteed, or I at least try to guarantee as much as possible, a finish date on this project. If I get a rush order in, that might push that date back a day or two, based on how intricate the design is. But I try to stay away from doing all the rush jobs. I try to not say, hey, look, if you give me an extra $50, I'll do this now. Just because I try to keep everybody as happy as possible. Could you imagine having a customer who placed an order 2 months ago and you just keep getting rush after rush after rush order, and then now their project's essentially late? That's That's where I'm looking at it from, because there's a lot of work down here. I know there's a lot of work up there at Fort Dix, but holy cow, man. Josh, you need to come down here.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever make my way back down there. I've been there too many times myself, but it depends. Like, I don't think anyone asks for a rush order. In fact, I think when we all get them, we're like, oh man, like, I know for me, it's always the same reaction. A lot of it's through Messenger, so they don't hear, but it's big, like, okay, it's going to be this much extra for that rush order. Maybe I could do it in that time, but it's going to be either that day or a day after, depending. I give myself a little wiggle room because, anytime you're doing something rushed like that, something may go wrong. And if it does, I don't want to be like, hey, I know it's due today, push it. But yeah, I don't think any one of us have pushed a project that far past its due date.
So do you have like a set estimated time per project? If say you didn't have a workload, be like, all right, this project's going to take me 4 days realistically with work and all this other stuff that I have to do in my life, 4 days to complete, and either A, I got to ship it, or B, they got to come pick it up. So on the 5th day, I know for me, like my flags, which aren't super spectacular like AJ's flags, but my flags, the ones where I have to glue them together, those would take me like normally on a normal basis 3 to 5 days, just because I have a lot of stuff to do to them. And then you add a frame and a French cleat to the back. That's just more stuff you got to do and more material. So, but I have a customer right now who just, one of their representatives got a hold of me and was like, "Hey, we have a going away for somebody, and we kind of forgot about it." I'm like, man, like I hate to be that guy that got forgotten about.
Yeah, be the rush order guy. Oh yeah, you're leaving 2 days. We need to get something for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, I think we all deal with it. I think a majority of people out there deal with it as well. I know we've talked about it before. AJ deals with it almost on a daily basis.
I wonder if he's made any headway on my flag.
Probably not. I know I sold him, or I didn't sell him, but I got him to buy a laser.
Which kind?
So what I recommend to basically anyone looking for a laser. Let me pull it up that way I can.
Did you get another one yet?
Not yet.
I'll just send you this. I'll just send you this Jtech 7 Pro. All right.
I collect lasers apparently, but sure.
I just sold mine actually. So I had a CNC hookup, if you will, because I had the hybrid system going on for a while before I got this 100-watt beast that sits in a corner, and I was like, okay, will it do the biggest projects that I do? I tested it out. It's worked out. It's good production, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry, old CNC laser, you gotta go because I'm not using it.
Yeah, if you're not using it, get rid of it. I mean, like, I use every laser I own. Like, I wish I could have one of the CO2 lasers you gentlemen have. I just don't have the room for it. And, the Gloforge, even though the program I hate with a passion, I have made it work. It's been doing the work I need it to do. So we're going to keep it until we move. And then we'll probably end up selling it and buying a CO2 laser. I think 100 we're going to go for.
So I know I keep referencing like a lot of old episodes. So originally when I started listening to Sawdust Nation, it was like episode, I think 48 or 47 and on, I think. And I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to some of these earlier ones because I want to hear all this stuff going on. And one of the things that you and AJ talked about was like, buying bigger is not always like the best thing to do, but in some cases they are. So for me, the laser, I was like, I'm not going to go buy me, and this is no shot at Nick because he only has so much space in his garage. His garage is definitely a little smaller than mine, but
shots fired.
No, man. It's all
he's
good.
got some nicer stuff than I do. Believe me, he's got that big bandsaw that I want to steal out of his garage. But
hey, you got to go for the joiner and you got to go for the saw stop now.
Hey, the joiner might be next. I mean, like you said, I don't think I could probably fit it in the back of my truck. Maybe not a hatchback or whatever it was that AJ was talking about a little while back. But
that was mine.
A
6-inch Grizzly joiner in the back of my Nissan Rogue.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
That drove 40 minutes home.
Yeah, no, your suspension would be wrecked if it hadn't already fallen out. But the 100-watt was the way to go for me. I mean, I could have got the 1390, but again, that's where the space was limited, flow and all that. But eventually, when I move to wherever it is I'm going, because I got denied wherever I wanted to go for my next assignment, I want to have a separate shop, and I'll eventually have a fiber laser to cut metal. So
Nice.
I want to do the side by side deal. But yeah, going bigger, I would definitely wait to move and then hopefully get yourself a nice big laser.
I never planned on owning as many lasers as I did, but once I saw there was a market for the work that they produce, it's hard not to. I mean, like, I can have something lasering out in the garage, and I can have something going in here at the same time, producing, two different things or like items at the same time. And it's just detail wise, you can't beat it. You can't get the detail on a CNC carve you can get on a laser. Point blank. I did a badge. It was about 3 inches high. It was a security forces badge, and 3-inch high. It's not very big.
That's what
Around
she said.
this to you a lot of times. Around the United States symbol on the badge itself, you can see the lettering and actually read it.
Yep.
Like, it's pure. The detail on it's just amazing. I was going to try to carve it and realized quickly that it was just going to be a waste of my time.
Yeah, you even with fine bits, you can't get that detailed. It's just
I have a 15-degree bit, and I would not be able to get that.
it's just gonna chip out. It's gonna chip out and be. Well, Nap's showing us his naughty wood. Here we go. What do you got there?
So this is a going away for one of the people at one of the squadrons, and they wanted me to do their logos, but I was like, that's really, really small stuff. And like you said, the laser does great work. Like, you can actually see the feathers on the bird, and like the small lettering in their logos. I've got way better ones out in the garage, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm not gonna run out there right this minute. But there's certain logos out there that you can't CNC. There's just not without tear out, and it looks like I've literally done enough power to get a deep enough pocket to fill with epoxy. That's what I do now. I don't even carve them anymore. I just laser them and then fill them.
I can do the same on a Gloforge, but it takes forever. It's not even really worth it. I can probably carve it faster than that. So
I remember when you got that thing, and we were all like, "Man, wish I had a Gloforge."
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize. So I wasn't really into the laser game as deep as we are now, So I didn't realize that Gloforge doesn't really. I mean, they have a good product for like the consumer. You know what I mean?
The laser itself is a decent laser. What they did is they strapped a cloud service and a crappy designing software platform for it. And because of that, it's just, if they had a better dashboard, is what they call it, where you could actually do stuff almost like Easel. Easel has a lot more capability, almost 99% more capability. It would be so much better, but it's more of a plug and play. It's like a laser cricket. You get a design, you put it in there, you put a piece in there, and you push a button. I'm way past that, so I kind of hack it. I actually resaw some of my own wood. I put it in there, and I know the settings I need, and I put it in there and I allow it to do its thing. So, I mean, like, I'm going around it, and I'm actually using Lightburn to establish what I need to do. But it'd be nice to be Lightburn, or go ahead and send it versus export it, bring it in, wait for it to plug into the cloud, and then it takes longer.
I gotta say, man, this cool part about the lasers we have, it has the, what do you call it, the Ruida controller, where you'll like design. You can design something on Lightburn or wherever, like whatever software, right? And you can send the file to the laser and just completely disconnect your computer and then play it from the laser. This way, you don't have to. Which I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, since, my CNC has to be hooked up the entire time to a computer. Essentially, the laser itself is its own computer. You can put a USB stick in there with a file on it and pull it off and then play it from the laser. Well, I say play it.
Diode.
Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. It definitely frees up your computer, especially if you're doing a lot of design and stuff like that on there. If say you're limited on PCs, but anyway, I know Nap has something to say. What you got to say, bud?
Yeah. So with the Ruida controllers, what's beautiful is it doesn't just work for lasers either. So I've been doing a lot of forum searching. So eventually I'm going to make an enclosure for my CNC, because, dust is a ton of it's my CNC makes most of it, other than my sander and whatever else I got going on in there. But you actually get what's called Raspberry Pi and actually hook it up to a CNC and literally operate it as if we would operate our lasers now. However, it takes a little bit of knowledge and brain power that I don't have, so I'll probably need somebody with that to probably help me hook it up. but I've seen it. It can be like literally a standalone, and you won't need a computer to run it because the Pi board is your computer.
Mm-hmm. That's the same thing with 3D printing and a lot of other machines like that. Essentially, I mean, if you get the right software, you can make anything a controller, and essentially the computer it needs to do the process. That's why don't let Gloforge listen to this episode. But
Well,
I'm either going to,
so it's not a big deal.
well, you don't understand. Like, you can't look this stuff up online. Like, they go and they take this stuff down. Like, any kind of back hacking on a Gloforge is like you cannot find it. I've dug through the interwebs and haven't found many articles because they pull them down when they see them.
So as far as cracking the machine,
yeah, if I could crack that machine and put a new board in there, it would be like any other laser. The difference is it would be actually usable beyond what it is now.
Yeah, well, that's their proprietary way of doing things, where they make it so you have to go through them. You have to use their software. You have to use. Well, you don't necessarily have to use their materials, but their material settings are already in there, so.
Okay. You can still utilize those material settings without their materials.
Well,
because when I put like a 1/4-inch piece of walnut in there, I go to the thick plywood setting for the walnut, and it's going to cut the same thing. Shh, don't tell them I said that.
Okay. Gloforge, if you're listening, we're sorry. No, we're not sorry. Anyway, that being said, Josh, what do you have going on in your shop, man? We kind of got off on a tangent there.
Hey, we're pew-pewing there for a minute. Long story short, I am going on vacation. After this episode, I'm going to edit, drop it, and leave. Anyway, long story. I got everything I needed done for this month, complete, delivered, and out the door. It felt great. So this last weekend, I did a coin holder that was about 3 feet long, 2 feet high, with a engraved symbol. Got that out the door. Did another short notice coin holder for a squadron. This was for their commander, and they wanted a painted, carved logo patch, and then a last minute they wanted a plaque to go on there as well. So I had to get that done. That was actually a Gloforge item. And then that was a medium sized.
I'm putting them in the mentions, by the way. No.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. What are they going to do? Disconnect me? Just give me an excuse to actually break their stuff. Anyway, I got that done. I got a order that we were talking about the last episode. I got that complete, and that was delivered and picked up today.
Which one was that?
The flag.
The flag?
The flag with the 3, 1 patch and 2 badges. Which, wasn't too bad. It was basically a carve and then staining. But other than that, what else did I complete? I did a gift for my brother. He's getting married this weekend.
Rest in peace.
Knocked that out. He's already married though. So this is just a ceremony, but still gonna get everyone together and have a good time. What else did I do? I did 3 more mallets, the 2 feet tall Thor hammers. I got those knocked out, and I think there was something else. I just don't remember. There was just basically when something was going, the CC was going, I was standing. When I was done standing and that was drying, I was doing something else. It was just never ending, going there from say 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock, come inside, sleep, and do it all again all weekend. But yeah, I have a couple orders, but it's all designed and ready to go. Just need to cut it, stain it, and get it out the door. Pieces are already cut, ready to go. But yeah, it's a productive weekend. Got a lot done. And, I got to do a family present, which doing something for a family or yourself, you don't get to do very often, right? So when you do get to do it, it's kind of brings you back to when you first started and you were doing these things for friends and whatnot. And I find it a little bit more enjoyable just because you can kind of, especially with everything being done, I got to take my time with it, design it just the way I wanted it, and knocked out. But I did do a woodworker foul, and I did paint walnut once again. Yep, same.
Oh, I quit.
What's wrong with you?
To be fair, it was originally I was going to do a different poplar and then paint the top black and then carve into it. But I went with a piece of walnut, and then I carved the lettering, and I painted the letters white. I'll show it to you. Pause.
While he walks away to get his knotty wood.
Man, there it is. He painted it. I see it. It looks terrible. No, okay, I'm just playing. It's just the lettering.
That's actually not bad. Okay, so when you said you painted walnut, I'm thinking, oh, he wrecked it.
Like straight up
No, no,
whitewashed
no,
it. Like he built
no,
a fence
no.
out of walnut and painted it white.
White. No, no. That's why I wanted to show you guys because, like, I wanted to do a high quality wood. It's a wedding gift. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's gonna go in their home, hopefully forever.
Is it clear
And
coated?
it's not coated yet. I'm gonna use some Odies oil on it when we get done here, and get it all ready to go.
Okay, cool, man.
So it's gonna pop that grain and that carved P that you can't really see on the camera. It's gonna help.
Pop that
Stop
grain.
it. Stop it. But enough of me. Nick, what do you have going on in the shop?
He's got nothing there.
No,
Nothing.
there's not the truth. Not truthful at all. I've gotten a lot of inquiries over the past week about tumblers since I've started making tumblers, man. Things have been going crazy. My Etsy's blowing up. So I ran out of tumblers.
You're welcome.
Yeah, is he getting a cut for teaching you? I mean, like,
He hooked it up, so I paid him with some purple heartwood. But
He did.
fair enough.
Hey, that part's still sitting in there, so.
anyway, well, yes, he's gonna return it and be like, "You owe me money." No, so I've been making different designs for different organizations and posting it up on the Etsy, open to new ideas on what designs to go with. I ran out of tumblers. I was using the Walmart ones. The what are those ones called? The
Not
forget what
Arctic, not Cody, but
they're something. They're a good tumbler, but it's just not Ozark. They're Ozarks, right?
there
Which
it is.
they're fine, but they're like $10 or $11 for a tumbler, which is perfect price point for before you mark up for all the etching and shipping and stuff like that. But I ran out and I cleaned all the Walmarts out from the area, so I went ahead and ordered in bulk. I have they arrived today actually 30 of the Arctic matte black 30-ounce tumblers. So they each come individually wrapped too in their own box, so that makes things kind of nice, instead of just me pulling them off the old Walmart shelf and wrapping them in bubble wrap. This kind of is a little bit more professional. So you can get them. I think you can buy them for like $13 or $14 individually, but if you buy them in bulk, it drops the price down to like 11 or $12, which is not too bad. I mean, you're not losing that much of your margin there. After you etch it and all that. Anyway, I've got. I worked on a tray yesterday for that Foot Locker I'm doing. That's almost done. I laser etched the bottom of the tray, which is the area you would see facing upward when you open the Foot Locker, and I still have to finish it and put the Odies oil on it and buff it out. I'm gonna flock the inside, and you heard that right. I'm gonna go flock the inside of that box, and I'm gonna flock the bottom of that tray as well. So I've never actually. I'm a virgin when it comes to flocking, but I'm gonna try it on a smaller project first, since that box is huge. But anytime you're gonna flock a box, you just want to make sure that you have enough. What do you call it?
Flocking material.
The flocking material, which is over the felt or whatnot. Because I saw a video. I forget where it was on YouTube, but I saw a video where the guy was like doing a large box, and he started painting the adhesive in it, and then started flocking, and he ran out of material.
You use a lot of flock when we flock. Long story short, I've done it myself on a box before, and you use a lot. You're going to want more than you think because you want to coat as much as you can on there. That way you don't have to redo it. So just flock it. Just keep flocking.
Yeah. So if at first you don't succeed, flock it, right?
Pretty much.
Flock it again. Anyway, I've got that going on. Obviously I have the project with Nap coming up, and that's I'm kind of cleared my schedule for that time frame. I've scheduled things for before or up into right when we start and after, but I don't have anything going on for we're anticipating like 2 to 3 weeks worth of work to get all this stuff done, give or take, depending on how our if we run into any issues. But we have priced out all the materials, and Nap's got all the design he worked out all the designs, and all we have to do is just coordinate, and just so we can make it look like it's the same person making, whatever product. So those plaques, we want to make sure that they look like you can't tell who they came from, either one of us, you know what I mean?
What are you going to use to seal those? Totalboat?
Yeah, Totalboat, Halcyon. That's right, we're using that gloss, baby. Totalboat, thank you so much. You make a superior product. I've got 3 quarts of it, of the gloss Halcyon. So is Naps. So
Oh yeah, that should be plenty.
Put it in my sprayer and just skeet. So anyway, let's see here, and that's pretty much it, man. Oh, I'm working on a shadow box, but I'm still waiting on the lady to send me the insides, like the felt. She doesn't want regular felt. She wants uniform items in there. So
I want you to show me how to make a dang shadow box. I got people asking me, "Hey Nat, you make shadow boxes?" Like, actually, that's not my forte. I hate shadow boxes because of the felt and the cork portion. I absolutely hate that part. So I might need to come over and watch you because I need help.
So I don't know of a lot of people.
I'm sure he'll love that.
Yeah, I don't know of a lot of people that use the cork though. So the cork is, I forget where I picked up that idea from, but sometimes people just stretch that felt over some foam, and it doesn't really work out too well. I use corkboard behind the felt for the backer of that shadow box. Anytime you go ahead and you mount like pins or ribbon racks and all that stuff, it just sticks. You don't have to worry about it falling off, and you don't have to glue it. And if you're putting patches in there, heck, half the time that felt will just hold on to that patch, onto the what do you call it? The Velcro. I forgot what Velcro was called for a second. Go ahead. That's it. That's all I got going on in my shop, though.
Well, it sounds like we're all pretty busy in the shop right now. Well, not me for the next week and a half, but I'll be thinking about it.
Hold on, I gotta say something.
Oh God.
For Ed. Long story short, all right. We have a lot going on in the shop this week. So go ahead. We have a question, don't we?
We do. You want to go ahead and give it a read?
We get this question in from Roy_176 on the Big IG. And he writes, "Hey guys, my question for you is, how do you know how much to sand? ? I have a mental fear that something will not be sanded smooth enough, and it will show, so I tend to sand too much and too aggressively. Go ahead. How do you know when you're done sanding?"
Mike, what's your sanding techniques?
All right. So I'm not going to lie. I don't have a Mirka like some folks. All right.
If you buy a Mirka, if you get it from National Abrasives, which is Mirka Abrasives on IG, you can get 10% off. And you're not in Pennsylvania, which is no taxes.
Tax-free, baby.
You might have had me sold there, unfortunately. So this is the reason why I got a 6-inch sander randomly this past weekend. Was because I ended up winning something from a live episode from you guys here. I think it was the last live episode, and I got some Orca abrasives, and I was like, well, I don't have a 6-inch, so I got a rigid for now. For now, don't crucify me.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of his new sander, and I sent him that Michael Scott meme where he was like,
and but okay, so sanding technique. So okay, so as far as sanding is concerned, this sounds kind of weird. Okay, so I sand a lot of red oak. Okay, so I don't really do plywood or any of this stuff anymore because plywood, I was aggressive like this user was, and I used to burn right through the smear. So I was just like, stay with plywood if you're going to sand it. But as far as actual sanding, I sand until the grain is like kind of full of the sawdust. I blow it away, and if it feels smooth, like that's what works for me. So especially with red oak. So with red oak, if I'm filling the grain, it starts to fill up with that dust, and it feels smooth, and I blow it out with the air gun, and it's still fairly smooth. I don't see any like lines, and I hit it with some water real quick, raise the grain, hit it one more time, and then that should be it. I don't ever spend more than like a second in one area. Like I don't just sit there and grind it in the middle of my piece, going like, yeah, that seems good. 5 seconds later, there's a whole.
That's how you make bowls, man.
Piece. Why do you need a lathe if I can just do that? But yeah. So I normally go, circular motion. I do like a clockwise pattern from outer to inner, and then inner to outer. and then I check it. That's kind of what I do. Nothing too special.
What about you, dear Josh?
Well, there's multiple ways and techniques out there to sand, but I'm new to the worker world, and that's been helping a lot with the whole sanding. But if I'm worried about over sanding, what I'll do is I'll take a pencil and I scribble on the piece. And especially if it's like a tabletop or something large, when I could probably try to mentally keep track, and I've done this in the past, but you really don't know what you've sanded and not really sanded. And taking that pencil and kind of scribble on the entire surface allows you to keep track of where you've actually sanded. And it takes a minute to get that pencil away. So for me, that's enough for that grit. And I'll feel it, do the same thing that Mike was talking about. And essentially, if I feel like it needs more, I'm going to sand it more. That pencil technique is great, especially in plywood, because you don't want to sand through that veneer. So I would use 120 to 180, and because it's already pretty smooth anyway, and just go over it. I really don't get any higher than 220. Sometimes it's 180 is the highest grit, depending on how I'm going to finish it. But it's a lot about feel. Want it to feel at the end, you got to think about how the finish is going to go on. Odies is going to buff in pretty good. Usually that's a 180 deal. Yeah, sanding is a technique in something you got to learn with feel. The pencil helps. There's other techniques out there, I'm sure. But that's about it for me. I go by feel and using my pencil.
Oh my goodness! You said I'm the distorted one. All right. So I have a little superstition with sanding. All right. I typically start with 80 or 100 grit, and I'll go to 220, but I'll go with the grain depending on my usable space that I have to work with. Obviously, if it's a small space and I got to go sideways because I can't get my fingers in there, or I can't get the machine in there, then whatever. But and then I'll take I use a lot of mineral spirits, man. I'll take mineral spirits, wipe it down, let it air dry, come back. After it's at 120, obviously, or 220, whatever, I'll wipe it down, go to 320, wipe it down, go to 400, wipe it down, buff in that Odies oil, call it a day. It's just one of them things where I love it to look like, I think with the smoother finish, the Odies sheens more. That's just me. I know a lot of people are like, well, if you're gonna spray finish and stuff like that on there, you want it to stick into the pores. I think 400's fine. I don't think it's
I've had
issues too tight
with higher grits and sanding and finishes before. That's why I don't go too high when it comes to when I'm actually going to spray something. I don't know. It depends. I've heard, because we've talked about this before offline. We talked about, like how high you want to get it and whatnot. But, yeah, 220 especially.
I mean, would it look okay? Would it look okay if it was at 220? Yeah, it would look fine. But what I really like is that, I don't know, I'm just a glossaholic, man. That whole, like, even before you put the finish on and it's like glaring from the light in your, from in your shop, I think it's just a gorgeous thing. And then obviously in between the grits, you have the mineral spirits, and that's raising the grain for you. So you're going ahead and schwacking it off with that next grit. So I think I don't know. That's where I'm at, but I'm extra.
So why do you use, and my question then for you, Nick, why do you use mineral spirits when acetone would dry faster?
I just have a ton of mineral spirits, and
you drinking it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's just what I started with, and that's where I'm at. Yeah, I can drink with it too. Yeah. No, I get like a gallon of it for like 10, 12 bucks, 15 bucks, somewhere like that. I don't know how much acetone is. I know it's really harsh on your skin if you get it on you. So
allegedly,
I typically, and then on top of that, if it falls on something else that's painted, it's gonna immediately take that paint off. So I typically just stick with the mineral spirits. It's not as harsh, I have found, as the acetone. But so, like, I will use acetone if I have like a paint drip on something and I'm trying to get it off. And I was using it on those tumblers for a while, but now I found that I have this this bit and blade cleaner. Essentially, it's a degreaser, but it's a bit and blade cleaner. You can take it and you like wash your table saw blades and your miter saw blades, all that stuff in it. I forget what it's called, but you just spray it on there on the tumbler after it's done etching, and you just wipe it off, and it's shiny as can be, and it's all natural. You don't have to worry about like your skin absorbing any of it because it's all natural. So I'll have to get the name of that stuff.
Yeah, because I need it for my tumblers.
So, Mike, you brought a project up, and you look like you had something to say. So I'm curious, what was it?
So it was about the sanding, like what grit and as far as finishes go. So this was done with 320. It was the Halcyon Clear, and like honestly, with self-leveling whatever technology so that came out with. I still got one coat left to go because I like to be like mirror, like I literally can blind myself with the gloss finish that I do in the garage. I have like, what is it? It's an air gun that hook up to my actual compressor, and but I don't like to do my last final finish until I'm on like multiple projects, so I can do them all at once. So it's just kind of sitting here. As far as like sanding and stuff, like I maybe, and you probably do this, cleaning between each one. So like Nick was saying, he uses mineral spirits. So me personally, I use acetone. And that's just what my dad. He was a stain and finish guy. He worked for a place called Axel Nobel once upon a time, and that's what they specialized in. So he kind of taught me a little bit about the finishing side of the house. And he said acetone works really well. But he said that as far as high grits go, there's not a whole lot for it to like stick on. But if you write that acetone on it, it almost like gives it like that tacky adhesion. So when you hit the next coat, it'll all stay. You won't have any issues, and it'll all just kind of come out nice, I guess. He knows more scientific-y stuff about that stuff. I'm just like, oh, you want me to do this? All right, cool.
Sure. You know what you're talking about. I know.
Yeah.
Hey, so I found the name of that bit and blade cleaner. It's CMT Formula 2050, and it's for bit and blades. Clean the pitch off of it. It'll take the pitch off of any of the carbide and all that stuff. So
yes,
it's got multi-function purposes, and the bottle itself, it says is sold out. So normally it's like $16.
Of course it's sold.
Yeah, but like for one spray per tumbler, that's not a bad deal. You know what I mean?
We're talking about sanding and finishing, so let's kind of continue down that path. So, Mike, what do you use? You said Halcyon. You have some of that. I think you said something about Odies as well. Is there any other go-to finishes that if you have someone with the knowledge, share it.
So as far as finishes go, so I've actually explored quite a few, okay, because I had a really hard time trying to figure out what was going to work for me in my particular climate with my particular garage, all the dust and the BS and blah, blah, blah. Well, first and foremost, I learned one thing, I guess a trick of the trade, if you will, for any kind of finish, even epoxy in your garage. Yes, you heard it. Epoxy in your garage where all the dust is collected. If you take your spray gun, you put a bunch of water in it, you spray 2 to 3 feet in each direction, it traps all the dust, and you can actually epoxy safely in your garage. So you don't have to get it all over your desk like I did. But then I also use wipe-on finish, the Minwax wipe-on poly, the clear and the satin. I use multiple coats of that. And then on my final coat, I like to use a little bit of mineral spirits. So I'll wipe on the initial. I'll take the mineral spirits rag, I'll soak it, and I'll take a real quick wipe across, and it leaves like a really glassy finish. I like to use that from time to time, especially with a mix of Japan dryer. Don't know if you might have heard of it, maybe not. It's this pink. It's in like a blue and pink container at Lowe's or even Home Depot. Either one, you can get it there. But if you mix it just right, it actually increases drying time by like, at least my mixture is by 80%. So I can literally wipe on some, wait about 20 minutes. I can literally sand it in 20 minutes and then go ahead and redo it again. So Japan dryer, it does increase the drying time of decrease the drying time of your finish. But if you mess up, you can actually mess the finish up itself in your mixture. So it's like a 1-to-3 ratio or something like that with Japan dryer and poly. And then I like polyacrylic for some jobs. So that Minwax polyacrylic, I do use that from time to time. I tried Spar Verathane. I hate it. I just don't like it. Not here. But as of late, though, and this is because of Nick, he said, Nap, you need to try this Halcyon stuff. I was like, all right, let me get a bag from you. Let me see what it's about. Literally, as soon as I used it the first time, I was like, yep, this is it. Like, that's literally what I use now for pretty much everything. I do use the wipe-on still, though, for something that's called a hat press. And that's just because I like the way it looks. It works well with epoxy and stuff like that. It's just it's part of the process I've already been doing, and it works for me that way. So I don't really want to change that process too much. But everything else is getting done.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone has their own processes. I mean, there's still some, not very much, but there's a couple projects I still do use polyacrylic for because I like how it comes out with that particular. And I have satin and I have gloss. And we've talked about this before. And if you're using the satin finish, you're going to use 2 gloss coats and then the satin so it doesn't get too milky in color. So if you're doing a table and you're doing quite a few coats with Halcyon, it's not required, but if you use too many satin layers, it will actually start getting a little cloudy. I did a sign for my parents, the Lodge sign. It's on the Instagram post. And I did 4 coats of Halcyon on there, and it was all satin. And in some of the deeper grooves and stuff, it's kind of like a milky appearance to it.
That's what that is. So that's what you were telling me earlier, Nick. So I was looking at, when he said milky, I'm like, what are you talking about? But when you said grooves, I do recall on one of my pieces, inside the grain of the red oak, it looked like it got a little, it was weird looking. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. It's like, the best way I can explain it is like cloudy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I have to do that now then.
Yeah. And once you do that, if you use, even if you do 1 gloss and 1 satin, honestly, no matter what products we're doing, if you put 2 coats of Halcyon on something, it's going to last. Let's just be honest. I mean, like, it depends if you're going to set, really thin or not, but it's going to last. The finish is meant for marine uses. We're putting on products sitting in houses. So, I mean, I usually don't go too crazy with coats on them. I go probably 2 coats, 3 coats, depending on the project.
I liked it at self levels though, because that just takes a whole bunch of like, I don't want to say like pain, but it takes a bunch of like pain in the rear out of the equation, especially if you're spraying with a spray gun.
Yeah, as long as you clean your spray gun though, because
yes.
Yeah, me and Halcyon and the spray gun, we're not going to say that I haven't had a few cussing matches with my spray gun, because it's like, I see the air, I see a baby bit of mist. It wasn't like this yesterday. Why is this happening? And I got to pull the tip off and do all this stuff and blah, 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 blah.
You got to clean the tip, man, because if you don't, that little white pieces come out and then ruin your project.
Ruin your life, maybe. You never know.
But, that's pretty cool. Having someone in the background that knows a lot about finishing definitely helps. You got anything, Nick?
I like to finish myself.
Do you ever outsource?
It's the hard. I do outsource occasionally. I usually go to Craigslist for that. But anyway, no. So let's talk about. I know I brought it up earlier, but let's talk about flocking.
Okay, what do you want to know about flocking? I can teach you everything I know.
I want to know everything about flocking, actually.
Yeah, I just kind of discovered it the other day. And
so I bought a kit, and I never did it before. I followed the instructions, and it worked just fine. So long story short, you get the kit. I got mine off Amazon. It comes with the paint, a paintbrush, and it comes with a flocking material and this little pump. You put the flocking material in, and you get to pump it all over the box. So, you paint the desired places that you want the flocking to go. And I would do this outside if I were you.
Oh man, you might get arrested.
Well, and basically you paint the desired areas, and then you take the flocking, put it in the little flocking gun, and you just go ahead pumping all over as much as you can get it. I have little piles here and there, but it worked out for its best. I think it's like a 24-hour dry time. And then basically you dump out the excess, and then I took like a foam brush or a paintbrush, and I just kind of brushed it on to get rid of any excess. And then I tapped it a couple times and sprayed it out from a distance, and it turned out perfect. I had no bald spots. It was covered in a complete nice coat. There was no bumps. Self-leveling.
Okay.
Right.
So it's not that bad. It's if you've never done it, it's just follow the directions and you'll be fine. I say not to do it inside because I had flocking everywhere. I was finding stuff pretty much on my saws, my shelves. It's just annoying. You see all this,
So what's
around your shop.
the actual feel of the texture though? Is it like an actual felt or?
Yeah. Once it dries and it's in there, it's just like you laid felt down. It is worth doing inside your boxes. So flock your boxes.
Going.
I would honestly, the last box, the memory box, I wanted to put flocking in there, but they needed it in a short time, and they wanted the wood. They wanted to be able to see the wood throughout the box because there was a couple different things I wanted to do. I want to put some splines in there. In the inside of the lid, I was going to put maybe some curly maple or some cherry, something to offset the walnut a little bit. But it was every time I asked, they're like, "No, we just want the walnut." So I was like, "Okay." Simple box, but it's worth doing, and it's fairly cheap if I remember right. So
yeah,
and you don't use all the glue, and you're going to keep the gun, so you just have to order more flocking.
Did you finger joint that box, or did you just do?
I did miter quarters and just put it together that way. I have a jig, the porter cable jig, that I could utilize, but for some reason on that, I'm having trouble getting finger joints on there. I was going to do the dovetails on there. I was going to do a whole bunch of things, but when push came to shove, I just got met with, "We just want a box, man. We know you could do all this. We just want this." So, yeah, it was going to be a nice little, one of those projects you don't get to do very often, so I was going to go kind of overboard on some stuff. But
tried to go extra, but they were pulling the reins back, huh?
Yeah, they want to stick to the vanilla side of this house. So
I almost hate that. You're like, I was like, I have all these ideas of how this could look completely awesome, and they're like, "No, I just want this," and you're just like, "Really? Like really?"
Yeah. This one of the last flags I did. Someone designed the flag, and when they designed it, they forgot to put stars, and then the first design was like the stripes were like, it was different, and when they gave me their design so I could carve it and make it for them, I offered 2 designs. I added stars into the design because I don't think they knew they could do that. And then I took the 2 badges because they had 3 in the union. So you had 2 cop badges and then a patch. I took the 2 cop badges and put it on each side of the name. So lieutenant, whoever, had it on each side. And then the patch was blown up within the union. So you had more detail and was able to actually enjoy it a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? It made more sense. I think the flow would have been okay. He was part of this unit and he was, Navy in the security forces, Air Force. You can't talk when someone has an idea and they really want their idea. You just sometimes have to make them happy, even though that it might not make sense to you.
Yeah.
My dad always tells me the customer's right. Always right.
Yeah.
So.
It's true. It's when they give you a creative license and then you do what you want to do, and then they're either like, "Oh man, that's awesome," or they're like, "I hate it." Just
yeah, pretty much.
There's no middle ground there. It's either like, "Oh man, that's so nice, thanks," or like, "I don't like it."
At that point, just fake it. You like it at least.
Fake it.
I got too much to do.
Fake it till you make it, man.
Well, I got one question before we wrap this up.
Let's go ahead.
For both you guys. So I'm guessing, Mike, you have an Etsy page, right? I know that for a fact.
I actually do not. And the reason why is because my word of mouth advertising here on this base is absolutely ridiculous. I service 3 different squadrons, and believe me, I've got enough work. I don't need Etsy right now.
Yeah, I have had no orders on Etsy. No, I had one order. I was for one of my stickers. Yep. That was my first order and last order on Etsy. So I feel you there, but I've been thinking lately. So Etsy versus website, the pros, the cons, your thoughts.
I don't even know.
So, I mean, I wouldn't know either because I don't have a website. I have Facebook, my Facebook site, right? There's a cat back there. You saw her walking. But so I've been told, "Hey, Nat, why don't you have an Etsy or why don't you have a website?" Okay, well, I gave you that reason. But if I were to say website, pros, I built websites before. You can design what you want on there, how you want it laid out. how you want people to be directed, what they see, those things. Etsy, you really don't get that. Etsy is like your cookie cutter, like, hey, this is how you can put your stuff. Kind of like it's literally eBay for DIYers, essentially, if you really think about it. Okay. And they already have a cookie cut site and it's not as appealing. So if you want to get your product, your service, or whatever it is out there, you got to do it by their rules. But if you're doing it yourself and you have your own website, then you have your creative autonomy to make it look like the way you want it to. Show
Absolutely.
you, essentially.
I don't know, man. What about
you?
I kind of disagree on that because I make a lot of sales on Etsy.
Ooh.
So Etsy, essentially, they take their cut, right? So I just mark my stuff up that much, however much cut they're going to take, so I get paid my normal amount. Which, whatever, fine, $5, $5 to $10, depending on how big the item is. But they do all the advertisement for you, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. They have ads all over the place. Somebody searches something with that particular whatever genre, or like they're looking for shadow boxes, they're looking for tumblers or they're looking for like let's say cop stuff, badges, logos, whatever. Etsy has like algorithms out there that goes and they send that to people. So if you're ever like cruising the interwebs, right, and you type in something and then later on you see an advertisement for it, but it's on Etsy, you click on a thing, it takes you to that Etsy page. And on that Etsy page, you can make that purchase. So they do a lot of the work for you. Makes it a lot easier on me. I don't have to do any marketing online. But I do keep up with my Instagram and I try to keep up with my Facebook as well because I have a lot of word of mouth as well. And people want to see, like, that's the whole purpose of this, like, posting all your stuff online, regardless of whether you sold it or not. You post it up there so people can see the quality of your work, what you can do, like your capabilities, and to give them ideas on what they want. Because sometimes people need something and they don't even know what they want. So, and if you don't have, say, check this out. If you have a website, that's great. But how are people going to find that website? So if you keep your Instagram, Etsy, whatever, and you have a link to your website on all those pages, you can go ahead and have cross traffic as well. Like I know Veteran Woodco has Linktree. Well, I think we all have Linktree, but Linktree aggregates all of those web addresses to your Instagram, Facebook, Etsy, whatever you want. That person, as long as they're on that Linktree, they can see what all you have. They can go to each different platform. They can place an order. I know Mike from Veteran Woodco, he has an order form that you have to submit from his website to him. So, I mean, that's a smart idea. That's what I was thinking about doing because I get a lot of people saying like, I want this, but I don't know what I want exactly. So it's like,
yeah, I see the reason I brought this question up, and I'm glad that you guys both had different sides of the coin because I've been thinking about it for a while. And I reached out to Mike from Coffee Custom Builds and I said, hey, man, because he has both. And I'm like, what's your thoughts? Now he's a bigger account and he's been, he's doing it. And he told me this. He goes, Etsy is for the people you do not know. It's for the randoms looking for the item that they don't know they want, or they do know but don't know how to get it. Your website are for the people that know you already, the ones that are following you, the ones that, have heard about you, that get directed, like Nick said. That way, instead of looking at a whole bunch of other options, they're not looking at all your products versus, everyone else's and yours in the mix. So there's benefits to both. Now, I'm leaning toward a website. My personal opinion is because Nick said this earlier in the episode when we're talking. Oh, actually, Mikey did too. When we're talking about informing customers about our procedures and how we go about doing business, we say the same things over and over and over. I'm getting a little tired of that,
dude.
If I can go, hey, go ahead, go to my website, and the banner says if it's within 2 weeks, you get charged a rush fee, and it automatically gets incorporated into the date they choose they need it by. That's one less thing I have to interact with them, which means I have more time to do other stuff. In addition, is like there are things that where people want, hey, I want a coin holder. Well, how large do you want it? These are the ones I offer. I want a tank. Okay, how large do you want your tank? It basically what it comes down to is I love interacting with my customers because I love hearing their ideas and taking it and making it a reality. But I need to figure out a better way to streamline that so they can write down their ideas in one place and I have it in one place to be able to track that. I think a website would be that tool to utilize to get to that end. Now, Mike from Van Woodco, another Mike, he does use a form. And there are services out there that you can buy essentially to get that form to fill out and then track your orders and all the rest of it as well. But I'm trying to stay away from having 10 different services to do one thing. And I think in a website, you could produce your own form because I've done a little bit of coding myself. You can design a form to do the exact same thing that's within your website and post to a calendar. You can also post all those receipts to the same, almost like Square. Right now, I know for Nick and I, because I can't really speak to you, Mike. I don't know how you exactly run your business, but I have Square, I have Venmo, I have Cash App, I have PayPal. I'm getting to the point where I don't offer PayPal much anymore.
Nah, PayPal's garbage.
They want to, yeah. I use Cash App, Venmo, and I use Zelle. I forgot to add that. And Square. If it's a military organization and they're like, hey, I would like a receipt, I'm like, here's a Square receipt. This is an invoice you can pay me on. It has all your details. And I like that because it has every detail they gave me so they could read through it and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I really want. And if I give them a product and they say, hey, I didn't want this, I can be like, according to this invoice that you sent money to and signed, you did. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about. I'm trying to streamline my process. I don't want to lose the connection between the customer and myself. But if I can get someone that really wants a project to go ahead and utilize muted Nick. Yeah, he's muted. He knows.
They sign it?
Well, I'm by paying for it, they're essentially agreeing to the terms in the contract. So I don't know. I wanted to bring it up here today because there's three of us, and it worked out really well. Team Etsy, Mike, team website. So just something to think about. And if our listeners have some more insight on that, go ahead and message me.
Check this out. So streamlining has made my life a heck of a lot easier. And this is what I'm getting at when I say Etsy is part of that streamlining. I hooked my Square up to my Etsy. So anything that I run, right, an Etsy transaction automatically goes to through Etsy. But all of my Square stuff goes through Etsy as well. And it comes to my email, all that stuff. So when a customer comes to me with a custom order, I want a coin rack this big, blah, blah, blah. I still go through the 20 questions. But immediately, once I take all that information down, I put it in an invoice through Square, all right? Send it to them. Once they pay it, it goes through Etsy and says, I've been paid. You've sold something from your Etsy store. So everything's all together now. And on top of that, like you said, you don't have to worry about, like, as long as all the information's in that invoice, like dimensions, names, dates, all that stuff, you don't have to worry about searching through Instagram, Facebook, text messages. Where did that person message me from again? Shoot, it could have been on an email. I don't know. So that's what I like about doing that. It saves so much time. Anyway, what about you, Mike?
So I use QuickBooks actually.
Same thing though, right? That's the same. It's a fancy version.
Yeah, for the most part. So like for me personally, so not tooting the horn, but I do have a bachelor's in business. So I took accounting and financial this and that and the other and blah 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 blah. So I do my own accounting. I do pretty much my own taxes. I do all that stuff through QuickBooks because that's what I understand. But I can also pull other businessy stuff like cash flows and blah blah blah. Like long story short, I use QuickBooks. They say, hey, I say send me your email. I'm going to type up the details that you gave me. Boom. But yes, like you said, same pretty much version, just very fancy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. You have like multiple different ways you can go ahead and track your business, some thoughts on others. And yeah, with that, Nick, you want to wrap this up with some sponsors?
Wrap it Oh, yes. We want to thank National
Hashtag.
Abrasives, a Merca dealer, for their sponsoring this episode. You guys made this possible. So we love your products. Between your Abernet and your Merca Sanders, you guys are awesome. We love you, and thank you so much for making this episode possible. Use promo code MSDN for 10% off the National Abrasives website.
That's MSDN10.
Oh, MSDN 10. There's a 10 after that?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Gotta be
Merca
bougie.
Sawdust Nation 10.
Yeah.
Just abbreviated. Capital.
Abbreviations. All right. So next up, Totalboat. You guys support us for the past year. We love you. Thanks so much. Go to totalboat.com. Use promo code SawdustNationPod for 15% off your order. And Jtechphotonics, we love you too, man. Pew pew. Thank you so much for supporting us this past 6 months or 8 months or however long it's been. We love you. I got to pitch our Etsy on Sawdust Nation Pod Shop. You guys got to check it out, man. We got t-shirts, hoodies, we got tumblers, and if you like stickers, we got stickers on there too. Check them out. If you want to rep the podcast, we've got different colors and all that stuff. They ship right to you. I make the tumblers myself, but however, the t-shirts are Printful. They make your t-shirts, and they're phenomenal. I have one. I'm not wearing it now, but I have one. So check it out.
You're wearing a shirt.
I'm
but
wearing.
He's not wearing a shirt.
Next up, the Patreons.
Thank you. Without you guys, we could not be doing this. We're saving up that money. We're going to try to do a meet and greet. We're going to do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Thank you for joining us. And if you pledge the highest level, you get to see this entire broadcast. All the jokes, all the swearing, basically Nick in a nutshell.
That's right.
If you don't get the top, there's other 2 tiers. The second tier, you get to listen to audio version of that and video as well on the release date. The first one, you get to mention, you get a sticker. On any tier, you're helping us do what we love doing best. We love talking shop.
We love bringing you content, folks.
Thank you for being a Patreon. Thank you for the people about to be a Patreon. We have that link in our link tree. Mike, we're thanking a whole bunch of people, but we should thank you too. Thank you for coming on here tonight and, dealing with us and talking about sanding and finishing and our flocking. You just never really know what rabbit hole we're going to jump down.
We have a giveaway next week, by the way, since it's our live event. So it's going to be 2 things. We're going to give away one of our Sawdust Nation podcast tumblers. And you might be the lucky one and get the That's What She Said tumbler. Just saying. Number 2, Orca Abrasives is sponsoring another giveaway. So we want to thank them. But you got to be present to win. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. We'll put out some information for that. And it's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday.
Live.
That's right.
Live. Anyway, if you would like to contact Nick or Rye or the Sawdust Nation podcast page, you can go ahead and do that by contacting MPG Creations, and that's Nick over there, and North Country Woodworking, myself. If you want to reach an Instagram page, go ahead and reach us at Sawdust Nation Podcast. To do any kind of emails or just write us a long email because you really like talking to us, you can go ahead and do that at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. And if you are an Apple listener, you can go ahead and you can write a review. We have about 17 reviews, all 5 stars. Because what happens if you don't write a 5-star review?
I don't know.
My cat Walnut will come come visit your house and have a talk with you. So, with that,
if you want to reach Michael Knapp from Naps Knotty Works LLC, check him out on the big IG. Mike, go ahead and share your screen name on Instagram.
So it's Naps_Knotty_Works LLC on the big old IG. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I suck at posting, but I'm getting better. I'm going to be releasing some pictures steadily because I have made a lot of stuff. I just haven't been keeping up with it like I should be. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I can come on in the future and talk with you guys, talk shop.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure. Definitely we'll have you back on and talk some more shop.
Yeah, with that, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, you can pick your friends. You can pick your nose. Yeah, screw it. Go ahead and pick your friend's nose. Good night, everybody.
Go ahead. Give us a listen. Have a great weekend or weekday. And go make some sawdust. Sawdust Nation out.
That's right. Sawdust Nation out.